Go live, and you are looking live at sold out MetLife Stadium, where today the playoff-bound 16-0 New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. The Eagles have always sucked. The Eagles suck today, and the Eagles will always suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. And welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there, anybody at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here tonight? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. If anybody spends any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much. It really, really means the world to me. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody wants to say anything, throw it in the chat box. Oh, there's Ronnie. Hello, Ronnie. How are you? I'm doing fine. How are you doing? Huh? I'm doing fantastic. Getting cold out there. Well, where are you at? I'm in South Jersey. It's not too bad. Where are you at? Oklahoma? Yeah. Wow. Is it cold out there? Central Jerk? Oh, New Jersey. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. Yeah, it's not too. I'll tell you what. I think it was this morning. Actually, had some snow on the ground. Oh, by Freehold. Okay. All right. Well, for me, you're up north. Yeah, I'm down here by Philly. Yeah, but we actually had some snow on the ground. I woke up this morning and there was some. Was it yesterday or today? It didn't last very long. It was there and it was gone before you know it. But we haven't had any snow yet. Yeah. But I seen it. There was an article about Wink Martindale having a gonna have like a third. Yesterday. Okay, yeah, it was yesterday. All right, yeah. But he's gonna have like a third interview with the Colts. Now, apparently, there's a bunch of guys that the Colts are apparently interviewing for like a third time. They got here is apparently the Colts might intend to have it include a hypothetical round 3, was a dragged out Colts process. So, I mean, apparently Wink might wind up having another interview with him, but apparently they have other guys as well. I mean, so it's just not Wink, but apparently a couple of articles I seen is that they have Wink Martindale as being like the possible front runner for the job. I know one of them, they're supposed to wind up also talking to Jeff Saturday. I mean, he was the guy, he was the interim coach. I mean, the guy that had him, I guess, run out the games at the end of the season. I mean, he just didn't seem. They won their first game as his coach, but after that, I mean, it was just all downhill from there. I don't know why they would schedule on having him being their head coach, but apparently Wink might be. You know, I mean, he's up there. The one thing is with Wink is that, I mean, he's had success at a couple places now. It's just not like he was, with the Ravens. And, he did good there, but he hasn't done it anywhere else. I mean, he's shown that he can be successful at a couple different places. So, I'm sure he's going to be a hot commodity. I mean, if not, if he doesn't get a job this year, I'm sure it's just possibly a matter of time for him. So, but I mean, the Giants, the Giants have a couple guys in-house, maybe possibly that they can maybe think about. I would love to see if Jerome Henderson could do it. He's done such a phenomenal job with the secondary, I think, for so long. I think he's really done a good job. And I know Wink talks highly of him. I kind of wonder if Andre Patterson, the defensive line coach, they call him the Godfather. I'm kind of wondering if, how he would be as a defensive coordinator. I mean, he's done it for a long, I mean, he's been like a defensive line coach, but I mean, he's done it for a long, long time. I'm kind of wondering like how he would be, but I would really like to see if Jerome Henderson would be, interested in the job if Wink were to wind up leaving. Now, I seen this article that's got some defensive coordinators that possibly the Giants could target if Wink were to get the job. Now, one of them, obviously, it's on from fan sided. G-Man HQ. It's an article, so I seen it. One of the guys that they have is Andre Patterson. Okay, he's the defensive line coach. He's done a phenomenal job. He was with the Vikings last. Obviously, when they had their coaching change, not this past season, but the year before, I mean, they let a lot of guys go. I'm not sure if they let everybody go, but they let Andre Patterson go, or he left. I'm not sure, but I was kind of wondering. In the article here, they said in case that Martindale decides to pack his bags, it may be simpler for the Giants to hire someone within the organization. In that case, defensive line coach Andre Patterson may be the Giants' best option. Not only is Patterson familiar with the players he'd been coaching, but he's also responsible for coaching up some of the better defensive linemen in the NFL. In forms of Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Everson Griffin. I mean, these are the guys from the Vikings. Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph, Daniel Hunter, right? Obviously, with his time in Minnesota. Now, the one thing is that the one problem is that if you got Wink leaving, the guys that they bring in, might have a different philosophy on how to run things, so that might have a little conflict with some of the guys that the Giants have on their roster, right? And obviously they have, one of the spots that defensive wise, the Giants are definitely without whoever the coordinator is the inside linebackers. Without question, they're going to have to, try to beef that up without question. There was, let's see, in this article, they're also talking about the defensive back coach, Denard Wilson from the Eagles. Okay. Now, it says if the Giants were to hire a new defensive coordinator, why not bring a key member from the Eagles coaching staff, arguably the Giants' biggest division rival? Denard Wilson has been coaching in the NFL since 2015, and he's coached up some pretty impressive talent during his tenure in the league. Among those names include Jamal Adams, Marcus May, and, of course, we got Darius Slayton, James Bradbury, and Avonte Maddox. So he's done a very good job at coaching those guys up, without question. So, I mean, the Giants secondary has some intriguing young talent in the form of, Belton, McKinney, Jackson, Flott, Aaron Robinson when he's healthy. So it says, so bringing in a guy like Wilson could do wonders for their development. I mean, he's their defensive backs coach. Well, we have a defensive back, who's doing a pretty good job. So I'm not exactly sure, if they think this guy is that much better than Henderson. I don't know. But I mean, it's hard to argue bringing somebody in from the Eagles. I mean, especially with all the success that they've been having. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that. Another one they said is Colts defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. Now, it says with the Colts probably moving on from Jeff Saturday, it's very likely that defensive coordinator Gus Bradley will be back on the open market and will be a hot commodity. So, let's see. Bradley's been coaching the NFL for the last 18 seasons and has 15 more seasons of coaching in college. So, I mean, he's been coaching for a long, long time, right? Now, the thing is, it says the problem is that Bradley typically runs a 4-3 defense, which doesn't really fit the Giants' current personnel. Okay, so, which, I mean, the Giants, I mean, Giants seem to run like I don't know what you want to call it, a 4-7, or I mean, basically like 4 defensive linemen and kind of, if you want to call it that. I mean, you have 2 defensive linemen, 2 edge rushers, 2 outside, whatever you want to call Azeez and Kayvon, the edge rushers, whatever. And then a lot of times we might have like seven guys in the secondary, 7 cornerbacks on the field. So, that's one of the problems as far as bringing in conflicting kind of like, guys as far as, what kind of schemes they like to run. There was another guy that they said, Sean Desai, I believe it's pronounced, he's the assistant head coach with the Seahawks. Let's see. He's receiving interview requests from the Dolphins and the Vikings already, and will likely have more teams looking to potentially hire him. Desai worked under Vic Fangio with the Bears in 2015, which is where he learned a ton, including Fangio's 3-4 defense, which is rather similar to what the Giants currently run. So that would be helpful. Another interesting thing about Desai is that he was the first defensive coordinator of Indian descent in the NFL, in NFL history. A remarkable milestone, if an ever so growing sport. He was defensive coordinator for 1 year with the Bears, but once Matt Nagy got fired, Chicago didn't bring him back. And then a rising coordinator, right, would be Ryan Nielsen. Now he was with the Saints. Now he has some impressive. He's the co-defensive coordinator. All right, he's not the DC, so he's somebody the Giants. He has some nice impressive stats. Nielsen may have only 6 years of NFL coaching experience. What he has done in that time has been nothing short of fantastic. Since joining the Saints in 2017, 233 sacks the Saints have racked up, ranks 3rd in the NFL. Okay. Alongside this, Nielsen was part of an elite Saints run defense that went an NFL record 55 games without allowing a 100-yard rusher, which is very, very impressive, which is something certainly the Giants could use without question. I mean, that was one of the biggest problems the Giants have had this past season is, I mean, they gave up some passing yards, right? I mean, and there seemed like there were times the other quarterback was able to stand there back there like a statue. But I mean, the run defense, I mean, just what the Eagles were able to do, just kill us, just run the ball right down our throats. Now it says Nielsen knows how to get the best out of his defensive linemen, and considering the young talent the front five of the Giants had, we could see him with some breakout season if Martindale goes and Joe Shane brings in Nielsen. Okay. So according to the Saints website, since Nielsen joined the staff, the Saints have ranked top 10 in sacks 4 out of 5 seasons and have finished in the top 5 in run defense in their last 4 campaigns. Top 5 in the run defense. Right. Very impressive. And, you got to consider, I'm sure he's had some good defensive linemen, but I mean, way Sexy Dexy's been playing. I'll tell you what, if he had Sexy Dexy in there and, if Leo the Lion can heal himself back up and the Giants maybe extend him for a couple more years and bring him back, that's a good building blocks right there. So, I mean, don't know, exactly what's going to go on with Martindale, but I mean, somewhere along the line, he'll get a job. What do we got? Texans got their coach. Fans off the we don't want it yesterday. We don't want Philly fans off. Philly fans are, I just can't stand them. Oh, Texans got their coach. Yeah. A couple. Well, the one guy, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, they couldn't talk to him or anything until the game was over. That's another one of the things that like somebody like Eric Bieniemy. I think, I don't know if the Colts are wanting. I think the Colts are wanting to talk to him as well too. I'm not as up on that as I should be, but anybody from the Eagles coaching staff, anybody obviously from the Chiefs coaching staff, for these job openings out there, they can't talk to them until the season's over with. So so they're just gonna have to wait a little while for some of those guys because Eric Bieniemy with the Chiefs every freaking year they're either in the Super Bowl or in the AFC Championship game. So they're gonna have to talk. They're gonna have to wait a little while. Andre Patterson. He's not called the Godfather. I mean, obviously he knows the defense and all that and everything. He's phenomenal with the defensive line and all that. I'm not sure how well he is at, because it's not easy to scheme up things or whatever. So but I was just kind of wondering. I mean, that's the other thing is that with Patterson, he's been coaching so long. Why isn't he? I don't know if he's ever had a defensive coordinator position. I know when he was with, I think Minnesota, I think I'd have to look on Wikipedia. I think he was like assistant head coach or something like that. But I don't know. He was never defensive coordinator because I think Zimmer might have been calling the defensive play. So, but I don't know if Patterson's ever been a defensive coordinator. It's just kind of why for so long you've been a coach, a really good coach. I don't know if he's ever been a defensive coordinator, but I would like to see, Henderson. We, especially this past season, with the talent we've been bringing, like Cordell Flott, right, and Fabian Moreau, and somebody Jefferson, some of these other guys off of like other people's practice squads. We haven't done too bad. I mean, he's the guy there. He's the defensive backs coach, and we've had him for a while. I was kind of wondering what he would do, right? What's up saying? Let somebody else, and so have a shot. Yeah. We need another good edge rusher. Well, Nagy was horrible. Okay. Had all the talent in the world, and we were with players we called up. Oh yeah, I know. Yep. I would like to see somebody. Oh yeah, I mean, as far as a good edge rusher, that's one thing. If the Giants, like in the draft, I mean, I don't know if there's a boatload of phenomenal edge rushers or nothing out there, but I mean, don't be surprised. You can never have too many edge rushers. I mean, that was one of the things that helped the Giants back in their Super Bowl 2007, 2011, that era and all that. You can never have too many edge rushers. Look at what the Eagles do, right? They can rotate guys in. They got 4 phenomenal guys. They can bring another 1 or 2 guys in off the bench who can rush the quarterback. Don't ever, I don't know if it's going to pan out that way. I don't see it happening. Could be wrong. But I'm saying, like, in the first round of the draft, if you're looking for like a wide receiver, oh man, who we getting? And they take an edge rusher, don't be surprised. Yeah, I mean, this is Shane. Everything's different, right? But one of the reasons why we were so successful back then was because we had a lot of guys who could rush the passer, right? So don't be surprised, or maybe in the second round. Just saying, okay? If we take an edge rusher, I mean, especially because you look at or somebody on a defensive front that maybe can help, maybe get some pressure on the quarterback. Don't be surprised, because you got to look at Azeez Ojulari hasn't been able to stay healthy, especially this past season. If Leonard Williams gets injured again, I mean, once Leonard Williams or Sexy Dexy, once they got to take a blow, they got to take a little bit of a breather, and they're on the sideline. The guys we bring in, there's a huge drop off in talent there, right? So, I mean, to help, I said, like what the Eagles are doing, they're two lines, offense and defense, freaking phenomenal. I mean, they drafted a guy last year to help. I can't remember his name. He's from Georgia or Clemson, but to stop the run, right? He was injured a little bit, okay. But I mean, their offensive line, their defensive line is just phenomenal. I mean, it all starts in the trenches. If you can't win the trenches, you might as well just go home. I mean, and as we're seeing even with the Cowboys always had a good offensive line, right? They may not have the greatest defensive line, a little susceptible to the run, but they can get after the quarterback. Pressure, right? So, I mean, a lot of it starts in the trenches there, the offense and defensive line. So, I mean, just because we got, Kayvon and Azeez and Leonard Williams and Sexy Dexy, I don't think we can ride off into the sunset with those 4. Because I said, if 1 or 2 of them gets hurt, the drop off in talent is huge. So don't ever look, overlook the fact that the Giants might wind up. I mean, I said this is, there's a new sheriff in town. So he might be looking to try to fill the spots. You know what I mean? Like, we can use maybe some interior offensive linemen. I don't know if we're going to maybe look for a little cornerback help, obviously a wide receiver. I don't, there's a couple nice tight ends out there to maybe he can team up with Daniel Bellinger. There's a one guy here I seen from, I don't know, the guy Meyer from Notre Dame. I don't think he's going to make it to as far down to the Giants. He's like the number one tight end. Pro Football Focus has him like the 17th. I don't know if he'll make it even that far. I mean, he's really, really good. I think he's an All-American. He's only a junior. I mean, he has really, really good talents. I mean, he's gotten like 2,100 yards receiving and 18 scores, and he's only a junior, right? So he won't even be a senior. So, I mean, but I mean, there's a couple other tight ends in the draft as well. The Giants can maybe try to get in like the, I don't know, maybe third round or fourth round or let's see, tight end. I mean, there's the one guy. Then they got Luke Musgrave from Oregon State, and then they got Dalton Kincaid from Utah. So I mean, there's a couple tight ends the Giants could maybe try to target. I don't know, I don't know if they would wind up targeting them that early. There's a bunch of wide receivers. However, the thing is with the receivers, there's some nice receivers. There's no wide receiver this year. There's no Jamar Chase. And obviously now we got to start thinking differently this year because, like say last year we were picking number 5 and number 7, but you go to number 5, right? Like you go and like, especially the way it is this year, you got like, there's like going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken probably in the top 5, 6, 7 or whatever, you know what I mean? So you can start counting. Okay, we're picking 5. Well, if Stroud goes and, Young goes and, and you start thinking, well, then if we're going 5 and 3 quarterbacks go in front of us, and it might only be one other guy that goes in front. So we might have our pick of all of these guys, well, that's not going to be the case this year since we're picking in the mid-20s. So a lot of these guys, a lot of these wide receivers might be going in front of us. Okay. Apparently there's a lot of nice receivers this year. There's nobody who's like apparently off the charts. So, I mean, if the Giants wind up going, in a different route, right, than wide receiver in the first round, they can pick somebody else up I'm sure in the second or third round who's, maybe not quite as good. But this is not a phenomenal, a lot of good wide receivers, don't get me wrong. But as far as like a Jamar Chase or something like that, that's not, they're not out there. The Eagles had all the talent in the world, and it's sad some of these guys never get a shot. Absolutely, yes, he won't be there. Who won't be there? Meyer? I mean, because a lot of these guys, some of these guys, that's the problem. Is going to be waiting so long with all these guys start getting knocked off the board in front of us, one after the other, and they can get one in a second and coach them up. Yeah, sure. I mean, there'll be other guys. I mean, there's certainly other guys. So I'm kind of interested to see. Especially we're picking in the mid-20s. I'm just looking at Pro Football Focus has him. Let's see. I think number 17. I'm not sure if it's Mayer or no. Shouldn't be Mayer. Michael Mayer. He has him. His ranking is at number 17. But he's by far the best tight end out there. So I don't think he's gonna he ain't gonna make it to the Giants. But they got Quentin Johnson, a wide receiver from TCU, who I've heard a lot about. Zay Flowers from Boston College, Jackson Smith from Ohio State, Jordan Addison from USC. Heard a lot of nice things about him. One of these guys might wind up falling to the Giants. Then there's also, I heard a lot about Trenton Simpson. He's like the inside linebacker from Clemson. A lot of good speed, sideline to sideline. He's a very good coverage, okay, I guess player, shall we say? Because they said he played slot. He played the slot role in Clemson's defense back in 2021. So he wasn't always playing like linebacker. But apparently he's only allowed 406 receiving yards in his career. in 612 coverage snaps. So he's taken coverage snaps 612 times. Quite a decent amount. It's only given up 406 yards. Okay. So that's something the Giants, I can't even remember the last time they've had somebody who can go out there and cover a tight end, right? I mean, he's a very good athlete, right? And maybe he's not like a top 10 guy, okay? But, he's somebody, there's a possibility for the Giants. Trenton Simpson, the inside linebacker from Clemson, he's somebody I would think about keeping an eye on. There's a couple other guys I've also heard too about, like a couple guards, a couple guys, also some centers. I also saw like PFF has some guys either play center or guard that might fall. So there's like one really good guard who might fall before the Giants. There's not a lot of really phenomenal, I don't know what you want to call. I mean, because sometimes you got like these edge rushers who are come out there who might go number one. There's a couple of nice guys. I can't say what we got. Simpson is good. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Simpson. There's a couple of inside linebackers who might go in the first round, maybe. But I always keep hearing about Simpson. I mean, that's something the Giants going to be interesting to see, because we got 11 picks. 11 picks. If say you got to fill like 5 holes, right? If we get 5 nice picks, I think Shane wants to use at least 10 of our 11 picks. Yeah, it seems like he wants a lot of draft picks, right? But I mean, like if somebody like Simpson, if we got 25 and say Simpson, it's like to 21 and he gets to 22, kind of anxious to see if Shane pulls the trigger, trades up a couple spots just to get the guy. We trade away our first round pick and maybe a 4th rounder or something like that to move up 2 spots. Be interesting to see if he does that. I mean, the Giants have some holes without question, but some of it too. We're also getting some guy like Darian Beavers. He was going to be an inside linebacker. Have a very good chance. Okay, at starting, for the Giants. Of course, then he got injured and the season was over with. But I mean, so DJ Davidson. Now he's not a starter, but he might be some decent talent. We can never get Aaron Robinson healthy, right? Hopefully he'll be either the slot corner or maybe cornerback number 2. We get Wan'Dale Robinson back. That's one less wide receiver we're going to need. So we will be getting some guys back from the injury list, but it'd be interesting to see, if we need somebody on the interior. I would love to see a center, a true center, right? I said we need at least one wide receiver, and why not double dip, right? I mean, get a wide receiver early and get another wide receiver later on. There'll be good wide receivers later on as well too. I said we need an inside linebacker. We could always use some help in the secondary, and we could certainly use some help on the defense. We need some decent talent, decent depth on the defensive line. Well, it's an additional edge rusher, right? I don't know if they're going to sign Oshane Ximines back. That's going to be interesting to say. I don't think Oshane Ximines is going to demand a lot of money on the open market. Depends upon, what he showed Shane, right? In the one season they had, because Shane has no ties to a lot of these guys, right? Then, of course, you got Ellison Smith. Yeah, true center. Yeah. So then you got Ellison Smith. He has no ties at all to Shane whatsoever. The guy can never stay healthy. The guy has that 6'7". He's got the length for an edge rusher. Oh, very raw. Did very well in college, but he was at the competition in college where he came from was like, he wasn't in the SEC, right? But he has the traits. He has. I mean, you can't teach 6'7". You can't teach that. You can't teach the arm length. Either you got it or you don't. He's got a lot of these traits. The freaking guy can't walk onto the turf without pulling his hamstring. It's just simply amazing. I don't know how they made it through college, but so do we go after like some depth on the defense? I mean, somebody behind Sexy Dexter and Leonard Williams. The other thing, what are we going to do with Leonard Williams? Are we going to extend them? Right? Maybe extend him another 2 years, try to get that 31 or $32 million cap hit down this year and extend them out, maybe bring that down, save ourselves some money. We're just going to ask them just to stay, like, just to take a pay cut. If you don't take a pay cut, we're going to let you go, But if we let him go, we're going to have Dexter Lawrence, and who's going to play next to Dexter Lawrence? I mean, maybe DJ Davidson, but he ain't Leonard Williams, right? And I said, then we got Kayvon, we got Azeez. Well, Azeez can't stay healthy, right? So so we got we need we can use an edge rusher, somebody in a defensive line. We can use at least a cornerback, right? Inside linebacker, interior offensive line. We could use I said a wide receiver. So a little laundry list here. I said it would be nice if if you wanted to double somebody up, we got Bellinger on one side. You draft another tight end, maybe in the 4th round, right? Like what we did with Bellinger. What are we going to do with Barkley? We're going to get rid of Barkley. Well, then you're going to need a running back. I mean, there's running backs all over the place, but why not bring in one that you might want? Especially if you can draft somebody in the 4th or 5th round, right? Ain't going to be Saquon Barkley. I can tell you that much. But you can draft somebody who maybe has a lot of tread left on the tires. Who'll be very cheap. You're going to have them for 4 years. And if after 4 years, you can just let them go and draft somebody else. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, hey. My man from KC. Oh, man. Tell you what, man, you get Kadarius Toney and Saquon on the field at the same time. Woo! Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes. Woo! I'll tell you what, boy. I'm sure Coach Reed could draw up some plays for those guys. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, the thing is with Barkley is that, does he have to take the 16 million? I mean, because that's the reports you hear. Now, are they 100% true? Who knows, right? But that's what you're hearing. He kind of hearing Shane wants like 12 million, 12 and a half, and Barkley wants 16. I mean, with New York, with the state tax, I think it is, or whatever, some of the state taxes are really, really high. Other places like Florida, I don't think they have any tax. There's one of the taxes they don't have, so Saquon could actually make less money per year and keep more of his money, right? Well, see, that's what a lot, that's a lot of people say. Why? Yeah, I mean, why do you want to pay a running back? I mean, look with the Eagles, right? They're kind of like running back by committee. Sanders is a very solid running back, but I mean, why is he solid? Well, because they can pay other guys, their offensive line. There was a stat I saw. It was like with the Rams who won the Super Bowl last year. It was kind of like they paid their running backs like $3-4 million. I mean, the Eagles, what they're paying their running backs is very minimal. I think we're paying Saquon Barkley more than the Eagles are paying all their running backs combined. Because I mean, Saquon, is what, about $8 million, I think it is this year, something like that. So we're paying, I'm sure we're paying Saquon Barkley more than the Chiefs are paying their running backs. You don't need, in today's day and age, you don't need that running back. You think things have changed. It's not like, it's a passing league now, and you can win by running back by committee, without question. You can win with, 2 or 3 running backs and they're making a couple $1 million or $1 million a piece or whatever. You can win that way. You don't need Saquon Barkley. We kind of needed Saquon Barkley this year because our wide receivers were all banged up and everything. So you needed somebody there. So we had Saquon for most of the time anyway. Yeah. They're a dime a dozen, $2 million maybe each. Yeah, but I think Saquon is like, I think he's making like $8 million, 7.9 or something this past year. And we franchise tag him, he'll be making 10 million. Right, which is, more than your guys. I mean, it's a nice thing about drafting. I mean, you can draft somebody who may not have a lot of wear and tear on the tires. They're going to be, if you get them in the 4th or 5th round, they're like $800,000, right? You can obviously check out their injury history. I mean, you don't want to take one guy that has had 3 knee operations. I mean, you don't want that. So, I mean, you can pick and choose who you want, right? And, and spend, I mean, you can draft one guy for, say, $1 million, or you want to pay Saquon $12 million. Well, there's $11 million you can go, Now, the running back you draft in the 4th or 5th round is not going to be Saquon Barkley. But, you can get a decent running back and you can spend $10, $11 million on another player. You can get a decent player for $10, $11 million, especially if you want to beef up the inside of the interior line, or, you get a nice defensive lineman for that, but keep healthy back here. All lines more. Well, it is. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Ronnie, we talking about, having the lines, how the Eagles are just dominant on the offensive line and the defensive line. I mean, they bringing guys in off the bench who can rush the passer. It's crazy. I mean, they have a very good offensive line coach. But I mean, their offensive line is just phenomenal. I mean, they got 2 Hall of Fame. Kelsey, the center, and Lane Johnson, 2 Hall of Fame. Was it Kelsey was a 6th round pick, I think it was, or something. I mean, really phenomenal. I mean, it all starts in the trenches. Imagine if Daniel Jones could stand back in the pocket, look around, survey the field. Right? Imagine if he could stand in the pocket, look around, survey, and he has 1 or 2 great wide receivers like the Eagles do, like DeVonta Smith or, Brown running down the field. He just launches these balls down. I mean, a lot of it starts in the trenches. And the Giants, I mean, they have a hard time stopping the run. Right now, you can double team their guys in the defensive linemen, but then you got to get obviously you need inside linebackers, and that's something the Giants have had a hard time with. I mean, the Giants need to draft an offensive lineman, a middle inside linebacker, But it all starts in the trenches. I mean, if you got the trenches, that's a good place to start. Eagles haven't played a high-powered offense like KC. Well, as I said, I mean, it was just a shame that championship game, whoever it would happen to, whether if that happened to the Eagles or that happened to anybody, the 49ers, whoever, that's just a shame. Because basically the way it was after Johnson got hurt, Purdy came back in the game, and pretty much the 49ers had a quarterback in there who couldn't throw a football. You're screwed. I mean, I don't care what the Eagles, you're screwed. If you can't throw a foot, you're in a lot of trouble. One of the reasons why the Eagles were able to run the ball is because they had the threat of the wide receivers, But, it was a shame, real shame. Purdy was in there. He was a 3rd-string quarterback, and then Johnson was in there. He was a 4th-string quarterback. And then after he got knocked out, Purdy went back in, who couldn't throw the ball. So basically, he's like a 5th-string quarterback. I mean, and then you figure, the Eagles played obviously the Giants. So the Giants don't have a high-powered offense like the Kansas City. The problem is, kind of interesting to see is how is Mahomes' ankle, right? Because I mean, he's looked like he was limping around a little bit there. Couldn't believe Jimmy G wasn't suited up. Unbelievable. Yeah, he's on the sideline laughing. There was a picture I seen of him after they were getting blown, or maybe it was 21-7. But it was he was the one. He's standing on the sidelines. He had a big smile on his face. I don't know who he was talking to, or listening to somebody on it. I don't know, but he had a big smile on his face. All the other guys on the sideline were really pretty bummed out, realizing they're pretty much going to get their asses handed to them. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I thought what I heard, there was a chance Jimmy G might be able to make it back in time for the playoffs, or in the playoffs if they had a deep run. And the championship game's a pretty deep run. So I thought there was a chance that he might be able to come back. I mean, they certainly could have used him last Sunday, that's for sure. That's just a shame. I hope they wind up doing something, like having an emergency quarterback, who it's all he is. He's just an emergency quarterback. I mean, whether they want to do that for regular season and the postseason or not. But I mean, could you imagine if something like that happened in the Super Bowl? How many people would just turn the TV off and just? I mean, they got a quarterback in there saying the second quarter who can't throw a football. I mean, how many people would stop watching the football game? So I'm kind of interested to see if after the season's over, whether they do something like that, like an emergency, like they have emergency referees. I know they have emergency referees like in the stands. Like if one guy gets knocked out or something, or he can't go on or whatever, they have an extra guy, and I think it's an extra guy who they can bring in if need be. Well, it's the same thing like with the quarterback, right? Because I mean, in today's day and age, I mean, if this was back in the 60s or the 70s, yeah, you could. I remember it was back in there was a playoff game. There was the Packers played the Colts. I think it was 1965. Tom Maddie, because the Colts, Johnny Unitas was injured. I think they had another quarterback that was injured. So Tom Maddie, who's a running back, played quarterback for him, and he only threw like 5 passes in the whole game or something like that. And they went to overtime. The Packers wound up winning, but Tom Maddie was a running back, played the whole game as quarterback. Okay, and just to go to show you, back then in the 60s, that's something you could possibly do, get away without having to throw the ball a lot. You can't do that in today's day and age. I mean, it's just not happening. If you can't throw the football, you're screwed. They might be saving Jimmy G to try. Well, I mean, that too. I mean, that's a possibility too. Don't want to put him in there, get his have him get a torn Achilles heel and try to trade him. That's his trade value is going to plummet quite a bit. So I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, you got to start looking. I mean, Johnson's not the answer, obviously. I think he's 20 since 2008. I think it was in Wikipedia. He's been on 23 teams since 2008. 23 teams. Holy freaking crap. But I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Trey Lance. I guess he might be the man, the sheriff. Hopefully he heals up. I'm dying to see what the guy can do. But then if they got Purdy behind him, right? So I mean, they might have their top 2 guys, right? And maybe they can. I mean, Shanahan's he's really good. Maybe they can also, if they need be, maybe draft somebody later on in the draft. Maybe develop him to maybe put him on the practice squad or whatever. But I mean, be interested to see what they're going to do with Jimmy G, because I mean, now that Brady, every year teams need quarterbacks. Every year, that's never going to change. But now, since Brady retired, now the Bucs are going to need somebody. So there's always teams out there looking for quarterbacks. And Jimmy G, if he can stay healthy, has a nice track record. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl. I mean, what were like 10 minutes away from winning it? Like the last quarter of the game or so, they just couldn't score a point, and the Chiefs came back and wound up winning. But he can take a team to a Super Bowl. You got to get a nice team around them, though, right? But if he can stay healthy, he can take it to a Super Bowl. 23 team. Yeah, I mean, he, like in 2016, he was with the Ravens, like in the beginning of the year. Then he was with the Giants. So I mean, some of the teams he's been on, like maybe practice squad or whatever it is, but he's been on 23 different teams since 2008. I mean, a couple of the teams weren't in the NFL. I forgot if they were like maybe I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember if it was the Canadian Football League or the World Football, whatever it was. But if you look them up on the Wikipedia and go scroll all the way to the right, and you look at, I think he got drafted in 2008. I think it was by the Buccaneers. He was there from 2008 to 2011, I guess, maybe, whatever it was. But I mean, you just, oh my God, the list of teams he's on, it's like a mile long. I was like counting. I was like, oh my God, he's on 23 different teams. Holy crap. So obviously on a couple of the years, he's been on like 2 or 3 different teams. But I remember when he was with the Giants, he just never panned out. We weren't a very good team back then, but well, actually 2016, we did go to the playoffs, but I would like to see Carr. As I'm saying, yeah, where, it's always that character. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to go? Is he going to stay in Green Bay? You keep hearing the Jet fans saying he might become a Jet, right? Derek Carr, where is he going to go? Right? I mean, Jimmy G. I mean, it's a carousel, Yeah, you got the teams that need the quarterbacks, and then you got all the extra quarterbacks jump on the carousel and they they go flying off to their new team, and you know, Aaron Rodgers. Oh yeah, with Devontae Adams. I heard that one too. Maybe reunite with him. Right, that's a possibility. I'm sure Vegas would love to have Aaron Rodgers there, but man, he could have a good career. Yeah, Carr in San Francisco. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know Carr because they drafted Trey Lance. What are they going to do with Purdy? You know, but I mean, Carr. These guys are also going to be expensive too. You know, I mean, Carr's going to. You know, I don't know what he's making, like $40 million. But I mean, same thing with Rodgers, right? Rodgers he's like a $50 million a year guy. You know, so he wants some money too. But I'm saying, but now that Brady, is retired, you know, there's another team going to need a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, you just start. There's the 32 teams. You just start going through the teams. You know, I mean, you can start counting up how many going to need quarterbacks, and that's it. The carousel starts spinning, right? Hopefully, with the Chiefs, they know they got Patrick Mahomes. Hopefully, the Giants get Daniel Jones signed. Because free agency I think starts the 15th. I don't think the Giants are going to let him. I'm going to try to get him signed beforehand, obviously. But I mean, if worse comes to worse, they can always throw the franchise tag on Daniel Jones until they can work something out long term. They can put the franchise tag on him, I think, work out a deal, and then rip up the franchise tag or whatever it is and work on his deal. So I don't think the Giants are going to let Jones leave. If anything, it might be Saquon. It'd be interesting to see. A lot of interesting stuff to see. I know Shane right now is down in the Senior Bowl. Checking out on a lot of guys because the Giants have drafted. Well, this is Shane now. It was a new sheriff in town, but I know the Giants have drafted a lot of guys from the from the Senior Bowl. Oh, here we go. Giants have drafted 19 players from the Senior Bowl the last 6 years. Now, of course, let's see, 2022, they drafted Daniel Bellinger and Darian Beavers. Darian Beavers, got injured. So, but I mean, he's going to have a real good chance, of being a starting linebacker, inside linebacker for the Giants. Real good chance until he got injured. Let's hope he comes back and stays healthy. But the Giants drafted Daniel Bellinger in 2022 from the Senior Bowl. So that's where Shane's at, now. But in 2021, the Giants drafted 4 players from the Senior Bowl. 2020, they drafted 5 players from the Senior Bowl. 19, they drafted Oshane Ximines and Daniel Jones from the Senior Bowl. And in 2018, they drafted 4 guys from the Senior Bowl. 2017, they drafted 3. 2017, actually, they drafted Evan Ingram, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Davis Webb. But I mean, the Giants have drafted a lot, including obviously Daniel Jones, but in 2018, they drafted Will Hernandez, BJ Hill, and Kyle Lauletta. So the Giants have drafted, quite a few guys from the Senior Bowl. And let's not forget, like last year, Shane did, like when he became the GM, by the time the Senior Bowl was going on, I think he was just at the first time meeting his scouting department. He didn't even know, who was who. And all I say, he was just trying to, introducing himself to his scouting department back then because he just came in, right? So now he has a year under his belt, and he's had, a year, with the scouts and all that and everything. Obviously, I don't think the Giants had a bad draft last year. Hopefully, we can draft some guys that actually are able to stay a little bit more healthy. But, I mean, I think, look for the Giants to have another successful draft this year coming up, right? Especially with 11 picks. Because I remember last year when Shane came in, he was just like, he went down to the Senior Bowl, I think, just to meet his scouts. Yeah, how you doing? Are you my scout? Yeah, But, I mean, this year, I think things should go pretty well for the Giants as far as drafting. So, But it's been 49 minutes, almost 50 minutes. Let me shoot my mouth off, guys. It's been great talking to you. Thank you so much. I got 2 thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It means the world to me. I said it's nice. It's nice to be able to talk to somebody instead of me just going on and on and on for a half an hour or so, whatever. So it's thank you, guys. I'll be back at it again tomorrow night. We can talk some more if you want. But as always, guys, once again, as always, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Anybody watches the replay of this, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.